young Instagram model has been found dead in a short-let apartment after she met up with a strange man online. This tragic incident is currently trending in Kenya, and according to the story, the Instagram model, who goes by the name of Starlet Wahoo, was said to have checked into an Airbnb with a strange man who might be familiar to her around the 3rd of January 2024. The strange man, who has now been identified as John, was said to have gone to this short-let apartment with Starlet around 8 p.m. They were believed to have spent the night in this apartment because CCTV footage showed them going in. Now, this seemingly looks like two grown adults going into a short-let apartment to have a good time. From what it seemed, they were familiar with each other. It might have been a hookup, or it might have been that they were dating. Whatever the agreement or the arrangement was, one thing that is clear is that Starlet seemed to have trusted this man at the beginning, as it was clear that she willingly went into this short-let apartment with John. However, the next morning, the police will be called to this apartment building because they believed a crime had been committed. And when the police came, they went straight to the room, Y32, where they found Starlet's body in her pool of blood, naked, with multiple stab injuries all over her body and around her thighs. She was also found near the door, which meant that after the attack, she also tried to crawl away out to seek for help. But unfortunately, she might have bled too much, leading to her death. When the police started their investigation, they realized that the entire apartment was covered with blood. It seemed like a slaughterhouse. They also found an HIV test kit that showed that whoever got tested negative. They also found personal items belonging to Starlet, her clothes and other belongings, and it appeared that the murder weapon was still in the room. A bloodied knife that was believed to have been used to stab her to death. But what really happened? How did this young, beautiful Instagram model go into a short-let apartment or a Airbnb with a man whom it is believed she was aware of, only for her to lose her life the next morning? This is giving serial killer vibes. It's reminding me of the Port serial killer that picked up girls and took them to hotel rooms to rob and kill them. And the truth is, this particular incident is not very far from that. After the police saw the crime scene, they went straight to the CCTV camera. They requested the manager to provide CCTV footages of the night before, and it was through this CCTV footage that they were able to see Starlet checking into the Airbnb with the man they identified as John. So at this point, they knew who must have done it. They knew who must have killed him, because coming into the hotel room, John wasn't there. So where is John? And why did he brutally attack this woman to the point she lost her life? Why did he bring her to the hotel? Why was there an HIV test kit in the room? Was it some kind of hookup or sexual transaction? Were they dating? Were they friends? Who is Starlet to John? And why did she follow him into this room only to have herself killed? There is just so many questions to answer. And just as the story is unfolding, the police did not waste time in getting to the bottom of this. Immediately after identifying John from the CCTV footage, they began digging, researching, and trying to trace this man to where he is. Instantly, John was traced to Mbagati Hospital in Nairobi, where it was said he was receiving treatment for a stab wound, which clearly indicated that whatever happened in the room kind of affected him too. It was in this hospital while receiving treatment that the police had him under arrest and named him as the #1 suspect, just in case that there were multiple people involved. And when John was confronted with the scenery of what had happened in the Airbnb, he did not have enough time to think. However, he gave a storyline. He gave his own part of the story. He gave his own side of what happened, because at this point, he can't deny he did not know Starlet. The CCTV footage was there to prove that he went into that room with her. I'm sure the CCTV footage could also show that he most likely ran out too after whatever happened in that room. But what really happened? Now, according to John, he claimed that he and Starlet had been dating for 2 years, that he was Starlet's boyfriend, and they checked into the hotel room as they usually do. He further went on to say that while they were having a good time, Starlet started accusing him of cheating on her. He also accused Starlet of becoming violent, that Starlet was the one who picked up a knife, while accusing him of being unfaithful, and began attacking him with that knife. John claimed he fought back, collecting the knife from her and stabbing her back too, before running away from the apartment to the hospital to get treated. But he was the main suspect. Clearly, at this point, he has even admitted to being the cause of this woman's death. The only problem now is that he's claiming that this was self-defense. He's making it look like Starlet was the aggressor and that he was the victim. This is what they usually do when the person in question is dead. And as believable as this may sound, I mean, if not for anything ordinary, this is something that someone could easily believe that, okay, she attacked you, okay, she accused you of being unfaithful. Clearly, the CCTV footage showed that the two of you were going into a room together, which meant she knew you and she trusted you. So whatever may have happened inside that room may have stemmed up from a relationship problem or a dispute. But the only issue is Starlet's family members did not know him. And they said that Starlet was somebody who was open with a relationship to her family members. How can you say you were dating this woman for 2 years and none of her family members know you? None of her friends know you. They hadn't seen you before and you guys have been dating for 2 years. If you had said 2 months, it would have made sense. But 2 years, now I personally call bullshit. So when an autopsy was done on Starlet, it was discovered that she died from stab injuries on her thighs that caused her to lose a lot of blood. And while this whole event was unfolding, John is being held in custody because at this point he is the major suspect. However, his claim now is that this is all self-defense. And despite the family saying that they did not know him, the story was all they could get, his side of the story. Okay. However, just when the police thought this was all, when the story started circulating and people started hearing about John and Starlet, that was when it turned out that this was not the first time John was doing this to a lady. In fact, it is almost believable that John might be a serial killer. Because when people started hearing about Scarlett's death and what had happened to her in the Airbnb, a particular young lady came out to share her experience that she had with John that was almost similar to that of Scarlett. And this woman's story is what is most likely going to give the police a perspective of what might have happened to Scarlett. It is clear that John wasn't dating Scarlett. It is very obvious. Clearly, or obviously, Scarlett is an Instagram model, and I can imagine how many people will be in her DMs. I don't know who John is or what he does for a living, but this is what he most likely does for a living. And according to this woman who made her own confession, or who stated what happened to her, or who shared her experience with John,
I met this guy in a dating site. He called me. We exchanged numbers. He called me to a certain Airbnb.
she claimed that John and her met on social media, most likely the way he met Scarlett. The woman went on to say that John would send her money on a daily, that John was literally trying to get to her. You know how men who like women go after these women? That was pretty much the vibe that John was giving to her. And she fell for it because John appeared to be a nice man, a sweet man who genuinely have interest in her. And for the fact that John was sending her money for her upkeep, I mean, what else would he want? Who would have thought this man was a thief? Who would have thought this man was somebody who would want to rob a woman that he is caring for? So eventually this woman admitted that she fell for John, and one day they went to an Airbnb, obviously to meet for the first time and maybe consummate their online love. And that was when, according to her, John attacked her, tied her up, made her go naked, and demanded money from her, 50,000 Kenyan shillings, at gunpoint or at knife point. And she was even able to cough out this money to give to this man. And afterwards, it was also said that he tried to strangle her, that there were multiple times he tried to strangle her, and he had his injuries mark. The woman also showed injury mark around her neck to prove that John tried to strangle her. Even made her make naked videos of herself so that he would keep it in case she comes out to tell the police. That was the only way she could get away from it. Even afterwards, John left her at the hotel and took her videos and ran away. John did not kill her. So according to this woman, still before he and John met, they did HIV tests, which it turned out negative because clearly John wanted to have intercourse with her. And this kind of made sense or corroborated the fact that the police also saw an HIV test kit in the Airbnb where Starlet was found. So this is a process with John. Even with Starlet, it was said they found used condoms too. It's not clear if it was before or after they had sex that he attacked her. But I could imagine he wanted to do something with her. But the woman who was making this confession claimed that John had no interest in having sex with her. The whole asking for the HIV test kit is just for formalities. It's just to make her believe that this is what it is, not knowing that there is so much more than just sex, not knowing that this man only wanted to rob her. And I think that must have been the case with Starlet, especially with the HIV test kit. It's just to, give her an impression that this was just sex. And maybe they did have sex, given that they also found some condoms around. But the bottom line was this man, John, was a thief. And I think this is where the police were able to understand that this is what John was trying to do with Starlet. Maybe that was what he did with Starlet. Chased her online, promised to send her money. And I think that mostly works all the time with women. When you offer to send them money, it's pretty much an easy bait for most young ladies, especially those who appear to have a flashy lifestyle on the Instagram. This is what we see a lot. Is either they are sponsoring it themselves or someone is doing it for them, or they are into some kind of illegal activities to get the money. And it seemed like Scarlett most likely was falling for this man who appeared to be kind to her online. And after agreeing to meet, it is possible that just the way John does his operations, he threatened her with a knife, asked her to bring money because she looks like the kind of person that would have money. Unfortunately for him, Starlet was not just a pretty girl who was scared to death. Starlet was not somebody who you could intimidate. It appears that Starlet was somebody who was just as tough. There is a possibility that she would still be alive if she did not fight back. But given this scenery and given this confession and given the testament from these women, it turned out that Starlet most likely fought back. And that was why it became so messy. And that was why even John himself injured badly that he had to go to the hospital because Starlet did not grieve for him. I know this is the year of not grieve for anybody, and obviously that was clearly the case with Starlet. Maybe if she had stayed calm and had listened to him, the worst he would have done was to rob her, make videos of her, and then threaten her not to speak. Otherwise, everybody will see her videos. Who knows how many more women that this man has done this to? And I guess more women will speak up, or more women will be so scared to speak up because this is kind of like meeting a man for money situation unless you've developed a friendship with him. And not many people will be proud of it because I remember when this happened in Port Harcourt with the serial killing, many women were unable to speak up. Women who escaped this serial killer could not even come to court to testify because of how it made them look, knowing that they tried to go and sleep with a strange man for money. Nobody wants to be called a sex worker. Nobody wants to be called a prostitute. Nobody wants to be called an ashao. So it kind of made them pull back from speaking up their truths. And I think if more women who have been victims of John can speak up, the police would have a clear case beyond reasonable doubt that this man is a serial killer and a serial thief who lured this woman, Starlet, into this short-let apartment to rob her, only that she fought back and ended up losing her life in the process. Because he knows that there was a CCTV footage in that establishment. As a criminal, he would know that. As a thief, he would know that, okay, this apartment we're coming into has CCTV footage. So his best guess to want to rob somebody or kill somebody, he would have to think twice because he would be caught. So I can understand he most likely did not mean to want to kill Starlet because stabbing her on her thighs and her leg shows that he most likely did not want to kill her. Otherwise, he would have stabbed her on the chest and the face, on the neck. So the fact that the injury was just around her thighs, which was something that ordinarily for most people it would cause deep injuries, unless for this case it clearly hits certain part of her nerves that may have ruptured or something, certain part of her veins that may have caused her to bleed profusely. But given the situation, given how he most likely only targeted her fleshy area in the body, I can believe he probably did not want to kill her, but wanted to rob her. However, Starlet was not someone that was going to be bullied. Starlet was most likely trying to fight her way out. And it's understandable. Maybe if she knew she would not be killed, she most likely would not have fought back. That is something that happens. If you are in a serious situation like that, when you're being threatened with a gun or a knife, your best guess is that you'll be killed regardless. So the only instinct that comes to mind is to fight. And I think that was the case with Starlet. He most likely did not know this man's true intention. From a man that was being nice to her on the Instagram, sending her money, to a man that suddenly brings out a knife and asking her for money, she most likely would not have known that this man would not be capable of killing her. Well, it turned out in the end that he did the killing, regardless of whether or not he was fighting back or whether or not she was fighting back. This story is just very tragic, and it's unfortunate that it happened to such a young, beautiful girl who seemed to not even want to need this man's money. The case is still ongoing. More women are yet to speak up. I'm sure more women will speak up. It's not clear if John have also killed somebody else in the past. That one is yet to be revealed. I will not be surprised still. I'm just so glad that he has been caught. So far, he's the only one. It has not been said if there were other people involved, but the story is developing, like I said. So make sure you're subscribed and make sure your notification is turned on. So whenever there is an update to the story, I will let you guys know. Don't forget to let me know your thoughts, like and share this video. Thank you.